Hello and welcome. How are you, Pascal?
I am very well, thank you very much, Johnny Ross. So delighted. This is episode 3 of the 90-Day Website Mastery podcast.
It's great to be here. Thanks for joining us. If you're listening right now, we are live on LinkedIn, we're live on YouTube, we are live on Facebook. If you're on the podcast and listening, welcome. Thanks for being here. This is celebrating the launch of our new program and the completion of our website best practice webinar series. We wanted to find a way to carry on and continue to share more advice and insights about making your website work harder for you and for you to feel proud again of your website. We often hear these stories of people not being proud of their website, and we want people to feel proud of their website again. So we're here to help you achieve that. Each episode will comprise of 4 segments. We've got the You Ask, We Answer, we've got the website stories, and we've got the website engine room, and then we finish with the website call to action. The website You Ask, We Answer, the first segment, is where we've had a question submitted by the community, or we've found something online, and we then answer it for you. So without further ado, let's get cracking.
Thank you very much, Johnny. So far, with regard to the You Ask, We Answer, we've been exploring website design. But the second most popular keyword on the internet is website manager. And very recently, I was working with a client where they've got quite a large team of people looking after the content, the sales and marketing function, customer service. And there was a lack of clarity about whose job is it to be the website manager. And interestingly, if you do the research, the third most popular question on the internet is, what are the responsibilities of a website manager? Which is just fascinating. People are wanting a level of clarity, Johnny. When you look it up, when you put that sentence into Google, the page one of results, which is where people tend to focus on, as you know, is interesting. So the very top, sadly, we've got some very old-fashioned views about the website management is the duty of the IT department, which is kind of where perhaps we began in the 90s, because this was perceived to be a tech endeavor. Then, as you go further down the page of results, there's this idea of, well, the duty of a website manager is to make the website look pretty, which is also very amusing. And then as you go further down, which is fascinating, it starts to get a bit more mature. I think we are almost kind of tracking the evolution of the mindset, where people are saying, well, the role of the website manager is to support the business goals, and is to find a way to support the activities of the business. And I would say we're much closer to what I believe to be the responsibilities. But for me, it still felt like, this individual or group of individuals would be in receipt of some form of instructions or requests from the organization, where my view, Johnny, and I'd love to hear your kind of perspective, is that you have to be taking the initiative. You have to be the instigator of those conversations, and you've got to work your way around the different department divisions, no matter the size of the organization. People could be multitasking, but you've got to speak to sales, you've got to speak to marketing, customer service, ops, finance, and so on, and find a way in which you can present solutions and options born out of your own research on audience and website design trends. But you have to be the instigator, and I think that's probably where we need to be in 2023.
Yeah. I remember actually writing a brief. In fact, I've written a brief many times for what a website manager does. And when I first set out, the number of points that ended up on this list was just huge. And it's like, it's so many things, isn't it? But it definitely shouldn't sit in IT. I mean, that's the worst place it could sit. And it is about being fluid and liquid and understanding the business and molding. And every business is different. So, some businesses have a PR department, some have a marketing department, some have a sales department, and some don't. And the size of those departments can vary hugely as well. So it is about being the gel of, really, I mean, you as a website manager, you are ensuring that the face of that website is absolutely getting the correct message across, the correct look, the correct feel, the correct brand, the correct tone, the customer service, everything about it. It's about making sure that, that retail shop on the high street, as someone walks through that door, they're feeling the culture. And as a
Hmm.
website manager, that's just one of your many jobs. But how do you write that down?
It's tricky, and I think what you need to be there for is the your role is to lead a project team with a representative from the different departments. And again, it could be a very small organization where there's only three of you working, but you have to be hosting and facilitating website meetings. And the one lesson that we want to share with people as well, because I got to a point with an organization in Northumberland engineering firm where the departments were actually very good at sharing information with the person in charge of the website. But the one slight error, and I kind of understand it, is that they never heard back as to what had happened to their information. So very important, if it is you're part of the team running the website, you've got to go back to your colleagues and thank them, share the link or where that information is, explain why perhaps it looks differently to what they had in mind. But you've got to keep that loop going and host a kind of structured meeting with agendas and more.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely.
And I can tell that you're kind of thinking through all the many instances where you've had to chair those meetings. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, and it's about handling all those different conversations, but then making decisions on, okay, well, what does this mean? How does it impact the website? What do we need to do? Do we need to look at data? Do we need to, there's just so many things, and making sure that it's all tied up and tied together, and it's, there's conversation two way. Yeah,
Always, and every argument that you need to put forward that leads to a decision is led by your understanding of the audience. And that to me has been perhaps the longest journey we've had to do, because for a long, long time, Johnny, many of the websites were done to satisfy the preferences and the wishes of the boss or the senior team. And little by little, the argument was, well, actually, based on our audience insight or even looking at the data that we've got now, we believe that we have to make those changes for that reason to achieve the result that you do. And your preferences no longer have any kind of impact on what we're going to decide to do moving forward.
yeah, yeah. But then as you start thinking about it, as I was saying at the beginning, if you do start putting a list together of what a website manager, it does or is in charge of, there are just so many endless aspects, and so it's trying to have a real handle on this, and having a process where you can, on a rolling basis, check content's up to date, check pages are working, check there's no errors, check there's, and it might be that you have some kind of process that, this month, this quarter, here's a checklist, here's a to-do list. You might have a daily to-do list as well, and that rolls, and it's a big job.
It's a big job, and listening to you, it's almost the equivalent to being a facilities manager or a building manager. And the reason why I want to say that is because I want to wrap up this segment before we move on to the next one, with this idea of, if you are the leader of this organization and therefore somebody else employed by you, or could be a freelancer, is the website manager, their role is not to do everything. Their role is to make things happen on the website. So there will be elements of delegation, participation, and so on. So I want to be clear that it is not the role of one, two, or three people to be solely the one to roll their sleeves up and do things on the website. They can, of course, access expertise such as ours and many more. And that's why I'm thinking it's more like being a facilities manager, where you inspect the building, so to speak. You find ways where there's maintenance required or repairs, and you bring in the experts if it's outside of your own kind of skill set.
Yeah, yeah, and there's nothing wrong with challenging the leadership team, or just taking it back to the business and saying, actually, you're better qualified to write this, you're better qualified to whatever, to brief this, but I'm telling you we need it, or I'm going to make it happen for you, or I'm going to implement it, but I need it to come from you, and there's nothing wrong with saying that.
Who would have thought a simple question like what are the responsibilities of the West manager could bring so much information? But that's the whole point. But what I'm saying is sadly for our customers, Johnny, if they were to Google this stuff, they would get so much misinformation. So
Yeah.
keep
Yeah.
listening to what we have to say. And in fact, time to move on to our next segment, the website stories. Now, in this segment, Judy and I react to a piece of content. It could be a podcast, could be a video, could be an article, a PDF, something that helps us essentially share more insight what it means to run a website. And today, we've chosen for you a video produced by Phil Pallen, a wonderful brand strategist, social media expert, and digital communicator, and who shared an equal passion for website and the power of website and online communication, Johnny. And he recently published something on YouTube called 5 Things or Secrets to Improve on Website in 2023. Now, interestingly, the term secrets I always think could be sometimes overplayed. But actually, if you look at the definition of secrets online, it could be information that is poorly explained or rarely known. And I think in that respect, Phil is doing an amazing job in reminding us by the 5 things. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through the 5 things, and I can't wait to hear your reaction to the things that would improve, I suspect, the impacted website to your business. Number 1, be clearer. So on the homepage above the fold, answer the question, who are you and why should I care? In 2 sentences, can you capture the essence of the benefits of dealing with you before people have to scroll for themselves? Number 1, that was be clearer, answer the question. Number 2, accessibility is no longer an option. So research website plugins, there are now plenty. We're very lucky in the UK and the US and so on. Lots of developers. On this video, Phil recommends Accessibility, but you can choose whatever you want, but make sure that your website is accessible. There's no barrier to information. Number 3, interestingly, to really, really build trust and credibility and to attract the right customers, you need better photography. And Phil insists he means better, beautiful photography. Number 4, make your call to action pages really stand out. And oddly, it's about simplicity, which is fascinating. So it's a big advocate of simplicity, clarity, and impact. Choose your word carefully, choose a number of boxes carefully, choose photography carefully to make this action page stand out so that it shows you've taken care and not just simply copied and pasted template. And number 5, follow accepted website best practices. So know that audiences have informed website managers, oddly, and designers. So the position, the logo, the navigation, the naming of the navigation, the way the blog layout has been kind of put together, the kind of resources, the number of pages, all those things that you see almost appearing regularly online are born out of studying what audiences want by people with vast amount of budgets and resources. And Phil Palin is saying, why wouldn't you just emulate what the pros are doing? And one way to do that, as we recommend, Johnny, is to listen to obviously our kind of adventures in the world of websites, but also to do a good scrapbooking where if you come across something you like the look of, save it for your own deliberation. So here are 5 things or secrets to improve on website this year, according to Phil Palin.
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant list because it's actually going right back to basics, some of this stuff, but it's not always obvious and not but as I'm listening to you, Pascal, talk through those 5 points, they all connect so well together in terms of not just how people feel and what the actions they might do, but also what Google thinks of the website and whether it's going to rank you well. But if you're ticking some of these boxes, there's some really good stuff in here. You've got milliseconds to grab someone's attention. So saying who you are and why should I care? You've got to grab me within a millisecond. So I think that's really important. The accessibility point of view, not just so many different devices and different screen sizes, but as I said, tick an accessibility box, Google's going to like you a lot more. But the one big one that jumped out at me is photography. And I was doing a website, so I was given a website brief only last week, looking for a price for a new website. We're talking tens of thousands of pounds in terms of budget. We're not talking a small website. Any mention of photographs? No, not a single mention of
Wow.
images. And it's like, do you realize the power of an image? Do you, if you just think about when you're buying something on online even, and you're looking at product images, the image makes all the difference. It 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 rightly or wrongly, the image sells the product, the quality of the image. And so, yeah, it's about, let's get rid of stock images. Let's get real pictures, but bloody good ones.
And for me, and that's where Phil is going, is that the effort you've put into the research or reflection, the briefing of a photographer, or at least, if you bought something, and the effort you've put in is a reflection on your own care in running the business, looking after customers. From people will make the link between the way it feels to visit your website and the future experience. And what is interesting is those five things are super easy to do as well. You may need
Yeah.
some feedback, from an audience, from people who are not in the business necessarily, but it's very, very easy. And nowadays there are so many templates and apps that you can look into, which gives me a perfect kind of lead into our next segment, the website engine room. Now, please understand the app or the software doesn't make the website manager, but nowadays it would be difficult not to improve our productivity, our understanding of what to do without using online solutions. So, Johnny, what is your selection for this week?
Yeah, so one of the things that a lot of people don't consider is the emails that the website sends. So, for example, if you fill out a form or if you purchase a product on a website, the website then sends automated emails to say, thanks for filling this form out. Someone will be in contact. Or perhaps it says, thanks for your order. Here's your order history. And those are what we call transactional emails. And in a lot of cases, the transactional emails are just sent from the website on the website server. This leads to two things. The first thing it leads to is really poor deliverability. So the chance of your users receiving these transactional emails is actually really low if they've been sent from the website on the website server. The second thing is that what you're not helping Google here is you're causing it to see spam coming from the web server. Some of these emails will be classed as spam especially because of the way they're being sent from the web server. And that web server has an IP address, and that IP address can end up getting blacklisted, which has a huge knock-on impact on where you rank in Google for your website. So it's all about solving two issues. It's about making sure that those emails get into the inbox, and it's about protecting your website's trustworthiness and authority and respect by taking those transactional emails out of the equation completely. So I recommend an app called Postmark. It's by Active Campaign. It's really cheap. I mean, we're talking sort of $10 a month, but for we're talking hundreds of thousands of emails before you need to go up to the next level. But it ensures the deliverability, and it protects the reputation. So transactional emails, never thought about in a lot of cases.
Mm.
Make sure you deal with them.
Thank you very much. You're right. And this is what we need to do, all of us. It could be the website manager, it could be people in charge of customer service. Can you literally walk in the shoes of your customers from start to finish, but a proper finish? And there's far too many elements of the customer experience that is automated, and we've got to override that where possible. So for me, my reflection has been about the news of the advance of AI, ChatGPT, and all the others, but not in
Bard.
a manner that, yeah, Bard and Claude. I'm told there's another one coming as well, and Autopilot or Copilot, should I say, and Canva, who had their conference a few days ago. And for me, it's not so much about use them to be able to cheat and write better content, not better content, but more content, and just submerge the interweb with white noise. It's more to do with the ability for people to check you out and the verification phase of making a decision. So I've been on the website. I'm nearly there, 90% convinced, but I've got a 10% of doubt because maybe in the past someone like you let me down, or maybe there's something else. So what all those AI-powered solutions will be able to do is invite me as a customer to check you out thoroughly, because it's not going to be as inconvenient, oddly, as trying to find the right phrase on Google. I can just paraphrase what I'm looking for against your business. I can, in time, use a voice and just say it as it comes to my mind and ask for the platform to give me a summary of the people in the business, the recent performance, has there been any complaint recently, what's star ratings. I can get all of that without having to search, extensively. So that the gentle pressure on all of us is to create more meaningful content, more timely content. And the challenge is come up with ideas for that. So the platform I want to recommend as part of this episode of the website Engine Room is Answer the Public. And Answer the Public is a search engine for what people search for on the internet. And it's there to give you inspiration, it's there to give you ideas about the next article, the next white paper, the next course, next kind of free resources you want to create. I'd recommend then that you certainly explore the different sections of segment, perhaps supported by an AI-powered solution, but then you've got to write it yourself, or you've got to record, as we are today, it yourself and so on. Because on one hand, whilst you've got some AI solutions that will potentially allow you to cheat and create content for you, you've got platforms like Google and many others who can verify whether or not this was written by a person, and they can actually penalize you in the future. So that's what I had to say about it. But for me, my position, Johnny, is that your customers will be in even better position to check you out, because all they have to say is a vague sentence like, give me a summary of what Johnny Ross has been up to for the last 2 years. That could be as vague as that, and the answers will be right there in front of them. So this is my selection for the website Engine Room.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. And there's nothing wrong with getting a bit of help from AI whatsoever. It can help with the structure. It can help coming up, the mental block, all sorts of stuff. But make sure you tailor it. Make sure you add that human touch. Make sure you edit the words to really use your language and your users' language, your audience's language. But yeah, it's so easy to check someone out, and it's the first thing I do. Every time I'm looking for a new supplier or a new business, I always look at in Google to find out more about them. Always.
Absolutely. And we get to a position where everybody's going to have their own kind of digital assistant. But the way in which those AI solutions can summarize content from disparate sources is just incredible. So better be ready by having produced the content in advance, and so on and so forth. Talking of doing things and kind of giving people homework, let's move on, if you don't mind, to our final segment, the website call to action. So at the end of the show, Johnny and I like to give you one change, one adjustment that could make a huge difference to your website. So Johnny, what would you like people to do this week?
So I'm thinking if you can boost your local traffic, that's going to have an impact on your national and international traffic. It's a best practice. So how can you boost your local traffic? One quick, simple, easy tip is actually just create a bit more locally targeted content on your website, whether that's a list of local events, maybe it's places to go and see, or maybe it's working with a local charity. Just that bit of extra local content that really helps the relevance for the likes of Google and Bing to understand where you are in the world, and start creating content around that. And that can help your rankings, not just locally, but internationally as well, because Google and Bing start liking you and using you more. So quick tip, call to action, increase your local targeted content on your website.
Thank you very much. I want to build on what I've just said a moment ago about using Answer the Public. But before you go about creating new content, my recommendation for the website call to action is to go back to last year. Can you look at your 2022 stats on the website and more, and find the articles and the sales pages who have performed well? And I would do an exercise to relaunch those websites with newer media content, maybe some fresher and bigger images, maybe going back to the optimization with the keyword research, perhaps, as I've seen people do. If it's a longish article or blog post, do an audio version or do a quick 60-second summary using video. Perhaps you want to create some clearer subheaders, add some kind of secondary images. There's so much you can do to do what are called repurposing up. Everybody knows about repurposing down, which is essentially to take an article and create extracts. But actually, if something is performing well and you have the data to prove it, then keep making this page work harder for your website, start to feel even prouder of that particular page by adding additional content and expanding on the point you made maybe 6 or 12 months ago.
Yeah. Always good to go back and have a look at what's worked and just make it work even harder. There's no point reinventing the wheel if it's already there.
Absolutely, and that's the point. So look at previously what you've done, make it work harder, and introduce the new stuff as well.
Well, what a podcast, full of great stuff every time. I mean, we love sharing this stuff, don't we? And the more we talk about it, the more it sort of like makes sense. It just makes sense. We want to say that's all for today. This was episode 3 of our new podcast series, the audio companion to the 90-day website mastery program. For more information, please visit 90daymarketingmastery.com. You'll be able to book a call with either myself or Pascal. We will be back with another episode. In the meantime, feel free to send your questions, share your preferred apps and links to websites once you've made the changes, and we'll have a look and see what we think. We might even give you a shout out.
Yes.
But listen, guys, bye for now, and we'll leave you with a fun video and audio montage whilst you go through your notes and actions. See you all soon. Take care.